So if you only had to know where 3 notes were, and you knew where those notes were every time, your playing is going to improve dramatically. It's going to improve immediately. And what am I talking about, those 3 notes? Well, hi, my name's Gary Evans. Welcome to my channel. Thanks for stopping by. So what are those 3 notes? There's 7 notes to the scale. There's all the in-between, the sharps and flat. That's a lot of notes. What are the 3 that we're talking about? We're talking about the root of the chord, and we're talking about chord tones, right? The root, the third, and the fifth. If you can target the root, third, and fifth, and you know where those are going from every chord to every chord, you're not going to hit a wrong note. You're going to always land on a safe note. It's going to make your melodies sound good, and it's going to improve your playing. Now, there are other chord tones we could land on depending upon, what the song calls for. It could be a dominant 7th, which is the flat 7, could be a major 7th, could be a 9th. So we're going to make this very simple. We're going to concentrate on learning where the root, the third, and the fifth is in each one of our chord shapes. And we're going to do that by learning the triad. So what is a triad? Well, a triad is just 3 notes. They're made of the root, the third, and the fifth. So today we're going to be in the key of A, because I like to work in the middle of the neck, right? So we're gonna start targeting and learn where the 1s, the 3s, and the 5s are in each one of our chord shapes. And we're going to concentrate primarily today on the E shape at the A position. So talk about the cage system. There's your E shape, and we're going to move it up to the A. So now we're in this shape right here. So what are the root, third, and fifth? Well, if you look at this chord shape, you have a root, you have a fifth, and then you have another root. There's no third. So we call a root, third, and fifth, 1, 3, 5, if you will, a perfect triad. So we're looking for all the perfect triads and all of the chords that we know. That way, when you're moving from chord to chord, you can target and land on the note, the root, third, and the fifth of the chord that you're going to. And we're going to show an example of that in our jam track and our playing demonstration here in just a minute. And we're going to do that in a minor key, and I'll show you how that's going to work. So we're back to this big A chord, root, fifth, root. We call that a power chord. There's no third, either major or minor. So there's no root, third, fifth there. Here's one. Let's go to the next set of strings. The 5th string. There's a 5, there's a 1, and there's our first third. So there's your root, third, and fifth, but they're not in the 1, 3, 5 order. They're in 5, 1, 3. So the way I like to describe it and to remember it is, since we're talking about triads, 3-note chords, 3-note arpeggios, if you will, think of it as a triangle with a different scale tone on each one of the sides of the triangle. And what happens is when you change the inversion, that's 5, 1, 3, and we go to the next one in that G shape, and it's the E shape, and it's 1, 3, 5. So we're just taking that triangle and we're turning it over. All the notes are still there, they're just in a different order. Call that an inversion. So there's a 1, 3, there's a 5, 1, 3, perfect triad. There's a 1, 3, 5, perfect triad, and there's just 3, 5, 1, perfect triad. So we're going to do this little exercise. So if you start on the E string, the 6th string, and you play this shape, that is always going to produce a major triad, no matter where you are on the neck. It's always going to produce a major triad. Same is possible for the 5th string. There's your major triad. No matter where you go, it's always going to produce a major triad. So we want to learn the 1, 3, 5 triads in this chord shape, in this between these 2 frets. Now we go down a little bit here, and I'll show you why you want to know that in a second. You can also do the 1, 3, 5 starting on the 6th string, this shape. 1, 3, 5. When I talk about 1, 3, 5, that's different from your 1, 4, 5 chord progression. This is the notes of the chord, the scale tones of the notes. 1, 3, 5. Remember 1, 2, 3, there's 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 5. So in this shape, on this string, the 6th string, it always produces a major triad. Same thing on the 5th string. Now when we go to the 4th string, it's a little different because the way the guitar is tuned. So I like this shape because you've got this little hammer-on you can do. Makes it a lot smoother than picking the individual notes. But it's just a different texture. It just depends on what the song calls for, whether you hammer it on, whether you play individual notes. So what we're going to do, we're going to learn the 1, 4, 5 chord progression in each one of these triads. So the 1 chord, there's our 1, 3, 5 of the 1 chord. A, the 4 chord, D, here's our 1, 4, 5, 1, 3, 5 again. And if we want to go to the E, which is the 5 chord of the song, we're going to go just move up from this 4 chord to the 5 chord, go up 2 steps, 2 frets, 1 step to 5 E. So now I've got 1, the 1 triad, the 4 triad, and the 5 triad. And we're going to learn those in all these positions. And what this is going to do is, as you learn these, it's going to help you to recognize where those notes are about that. They're going to help you to recognize where those 1, 3, 5 triads are. So as you're learning them in each one of these shapes, C shape, E shape, A shape, the A shape up here, moving up to D is a cage system. Here, as you learn where the 1, 3, 5s are in each one of these chords, as you're playing your solos, you're going to be able to target a note of the new chord you're going to, and your lines and your licks and your little motifs between verses are all going to, they're going to sound good because you're going to be ending on a tone that is part of the chord you're going to. So let's go back to our example here. 1, 3, 5 over the 1 chord, over the 4 chord, 1, 3, 5, which is over D, then E, back to 1. Okay, so when we go to the 4th string, we've got 1, 3, 5 right here. Now, our 4 chord, this chord here, we're going to go to this shape, which is a 1, 3, 5. 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5 here, 1, 3, 5. Move up to the 5 chord, and back to 1, which could either be here or it could be here. As you know, the guitar, things are movable. This note is the same as this one. In this case, it's an A. So we have 1, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1. 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 1 chord, 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 1. So we're going to learn those all over the neck, and this is how the pros do it. They're seeing these chord tones wherever they're going, whatever chord they're changing to, they're going to know where they're going to land because they're going to know the notes available to them, if you will. So I want you to practice those. In a second, I'm going to show you, we're going to take our jam track And in a solo example, we're going to show you targeting those notes of the chord that you're moving to. And we're going to do it with we're going to use A minor. We're going to be in the key of A minor. We're going to use A minor. We're going to use G. And we're going to use F major 7. Isn't that a pretty chord? And here's the reason I chose those chords. So in A minor, the relative major is C. So if you take a C chord, and you're looking for the relative minor, which is A minor, now that's the relative minor. And why is that important? It's because the A minor and the C share a lot of the same notes. A lot of them are interchangeable. So you can, over the A minor, you can play in A minor, and you can play in C. See how those work? That works there. So in A minor, you've got C to work with, and we're keeping it simple. We're just going to one different scale. A minor, you can play in A minor. You can play in C. Those two work together because the A minor is relative to the key of C major. So now we're going to go down to G. What do you do there? Well, you can still play your C or your A licks as long as you target to land on a tone that's in that G, for example. Sound good? We move down to G. Now, the next chord is going to be an F major 7. Why did we choose that? If you look at an A minor chord, let's go back to our big A minor here. If you look at the A minor chord and you take the 5th, which is E, and you raise it up a half step, now that A minor becomes an F major 7. It's like an A chord with an F in the bass, in the bottom. Now you've got all your C stuff, you got all your A stuff, and you've got your F major 7 stuff. You can outline the chord in an arpeggio. So you've got that available to you. So we're going to take a second, listen to this little jam track, and we're going to be targeting the chord tones as we change chords. And I think you'll hear it as we do this. So let's take a second, let's listen to how that sounds. Isn't that great? You see how that works? So when you know the chord tone to end on, when you go to the next chord, you're always going to sound musical, it's always going to sound right, and you can really create some great melodies and licks like that. And I encourage you, as we always do on this channel, I'm self-taught primarily, didn't really take, formal lessons. I've learned things along the way by playing in bands and learning songs and asking questions along the way. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you, let's just take the C shape here. We'll do one more. There's our C shape, and we move it up here to the E position. Now let's do our 1, 3, 5 in this chord position. There's a lot of great guitar in this. There's a lot of great guitar in this shape right here. So this is E. Remember we said a while ago on the 5th string, you can always, this shape will always produce a major triad. So in the key of E, E is going to be the first chord, major triad. There's your 1, 3, 5, right? Well, look, there's an A right here, and we've already done that. This shape, 1, 3, 5, there's your 4 chord, or in your triad in your 4 chord in E, which is the the chord of A. And now let's, to go 5, we go up to one whole step to G, to a B, and there, same shape, back to our 1. So in this E shape, in this particular position, you've got Isn't that great? And then you can experiment with going into the other shapes. Like for example, in this C shape right here, you've got the top of that chord is a 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3. We've just turned the triangle over again, right? 5, 1, 3. Now we're going to go to the 4 chords. A, look at that, the top of that, there's a 3, 5, 1. And go up a whole step for your 5 chord. So you've got, and you learn those in all the positions all over the neck. This is the way the pros do it. This is what they're seeing when they're looking down and they're mapping out this fretboard in the song they're playing, so they know what's coming up next. And as you do this, and I encourage you to walk through these, take the jam track, listen to that, and be able to target the chord changes. So there's a couple of shapes. Learn those. I hope this has been helpful for you. If you could only know 3 notes out of the chord coming up, the root, the 3rd, and the 5th, you probably can't go wrong just by targeting one of those. And you could put together some great melodies, some great licks, and your playing will also always sound right on because you're targeting the next chord's major tone centers, notes. So I hope this has been helpful. Thanks for stopping by the channel. If you'd like a deeper dive into this, go to the description below. There'll be links that you can go and you can get a deeper dive into this and backing tracks and PDFs for scale tones and things like that. So we appreciate you stopping by. I hope it's been helpful, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Thanks.